All right. Okay, guys, we're back this week. Y'all have any questions about the stuff that we covered last week? Guys, we're covering lots of stuff now. You know, so hopefully you're using this stuff, utilizing this stuff, because, you know, like I told you, it seems good here, it seems interesting, you know, whatever, but if you don't use it, you're gonna forget it. Trust me. Even if you write it in your notes, you're gonna be like, what? W is what? Yeah. So use it. You know, we're covering a really important topic tonight: prefixes and suffixes, and I think you're really gonna like it. Okay, once you start using this, you're really gonna like it. So let's get started. So prefixes and suffixes.
Let's see how Total Eclipse handles prefixes and suffixes. Your Steno dictionary probably includes common prefixes to hook onto a following word, and suffixes to hook onto a previous word.
Okay, guys, and I'm probably getting a little ahead of the video or whatever, but y'all know the difference between a prefix and a suffix. Pre, before, suff, after. Suff. After, okay? So when they're gonna explain it to you, one, whichever prefix you have, it doesn't really matter what it is, define it correctly. I've told you guys about these brackets. If you don't put it in exactly the way that they're telling you to do it, it's not gonna work the way that they have it in set up for the software, okay? It may work, it may not, it may do something totally different because you didn't hook it up exactly like this with the brackets, okay?
Eclipse does a great job of adjusting spellings as it adds prefixes and suffixes, but please remember, it will only adjust the spellings if braces surround both the delete space symbol and the prefix or suffix text.
And that's what I was gonna tell you. What it's gonna do now is, say you have fancy. Is that right? No.
Could have been.
I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, a word that ends like in Y, where you're gonna add S, where it's gonna change it to the IES, that's what the brackets does. If you don't, all it's gonna do is put the word, is fancies?
Yes.
Fancies?
Yeah.
Okay, fancies is a word. So all it's gonna do is put fancy, Y, S. Y'all know what I'm saying? So it's still gonna leave fancy, FANCY, S, is all it's gonna do now.
Oh.
If you put the brackets, you don't have to tell it to do anything. It already knows to change, to drop the Y and add the IE. Pretty cool. If you do it right, okay?
Eclipse will not automatically adjust spellings if only the delete space symbol is within braces. Eclipse comes with a prefixes and suffixes kit with a dictionary that includes several hundred entries. All you have to do is decide whether you want to use the steno that is given as an example, or press the enter key to get inside and change the steno to something that you know you would write.
So if you know, one, if you use StenEd, it's just G for ING, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, why is it doing it?
Holy cow, if you do this, okay? But if you do ING for ING, really? Look, if you do, let me know how that works out when your hands fall off. No. I stroke stuff out, but it ain't to this degree, okay? So, anyway, but if you want to change it, then that's how they're telling you to change it. They're just giving you the ideas of how to change it, okay? but you have to still do it correctly. Okay?
The documentation shows how these prefixes and suffixes, added to common root words, could help translate uncommon words beautifully. Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth e-power video tutorial which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
Any questions about that? Imagine that.
Are we
Yes?
gonna have to know that Keith Vince invented Eclipse?
No,
Okay, cool. Just one.
that's not gonna be on the test. Okay. Excellent question. Yeah.
Does it know to do that, or does it know to change the ending even if it's a word that, like, for instance, like I put consist in my dictionary,
Mhm.
KSC,
Yeah.
but when I put consistent, like it doesn't translate right, or, but it usually should, right? Or do you have to do something different?
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
Well, what you may have to do is global it. You know, because if it's something like that, like consist, I do consist KS. KS is consist for me. Like consistent is KS and then come back TENT. But if you leave TENT by itself, it's a tent, like a pop-up tent. Or it could be an ending. So you don't want to make it into an ending when it can stand on its own.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what you may have to do is global, which is G, global consist, and then global consistent TNT, and then put it together. So it knows when consist, because I don't think you're ever gonna have, does it consist tent? You know, consist of a pop-up tent. So it's never gonna be together, you know, whatever.
No, but he's not saying consistent,
But
he's saying consisted.
Consisted?
Right,
Yeah, well, I don't actually remember what the I don't remember what the conflict was. I just remember the.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. If it's consisted, all you do is the D. And the D is an ending, so it's going to know to change it. And it's going to know to add it on. If you're talking about consistent, you're going to have to global the two words together and put it together. But what they're explaining to you right here,
So the word ending should work even for random entries that you make yourself.
it should work for everything.
Okay.
As long as you put it as an ending, okay? Like I do like TD also. You know, when I have posted, so I do post and then I come back TD. And I just drag the finger TD. So it knows that it's TED. Does that make sense? So I use it as a final, ending to the word, and then an ending as a suffix. Does that make sense? I know what I want to say. I don't know. I guess I'm not saying it right. But like posted to me is 2 strokes. So I don't do, like a lot of people do the asterisk for the T. Post, P-O-S-T. So they do the P-O-E-S with the asterisk, and then that's how we learned. That's how I learned in school, was that you add the asterisk and then that puts the T on. That automatically puts the T. Do y'all do it like that?
Yeah.
How would y'all write posted?
It's only one stroke, I think.
Posted? How do you do it?
I'm trying to remember. Because you do the TD2, the way you said it right now. I remember that.
It's poded.
Huh?
P-O-E-T-D is
With
poded.
your S.
I mean, it's not a word or whatever, but whatever. Huh?
I'm gonna have to try it tonight.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I
Okay.
think it is.
Can anybody tell me?
What do you think it's supposed to be?
How you do it as one stroke?
No.
Y'all do it as one stroke, posted? How do you do it?
I don't.
You're in the back.
It would be P, asterisk OS and then come back with a D.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you could put it in the same stroke as long as you know that that's what you're trying to do and it doesn't change it
Yeah.
into a different word altogether.
How would you put it in the same stroke?
POS.
TSD?
No, not the T, just the S and the D.
Faster.
God. Good luck with that.
And I mean, and if it doesn't change it, and you remember, you can do it all in one stroke.
You could. You could. That confuses me. One, because to me it's almost like two strokes because you're doing the post and then you have to come back and do the D because it's the same little finger. So you almost have to bring it back up because the D is up here. So you almost, I mean, like to me it's two strokes. But I mean, if that's the way you want to do it, it doesn't really matter what I think or whatever. However is easiest for you, however you can read it is fine. But if you're having trouble and it's not hooking on to the word, but see, like there, I forget your name. What's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Michelle. If you're doing it like that, P-O-E, asterisk S, come back D, keeping it on the same stroke, now you have to define it all as posted. You know that, right? Okay, because now it's one word. It's not an ending, it's not a suffix anymore. It's together as a word, okay? So right here, what they're telling you is when you combine total eclipse, intelligent phonetics, misstroke translation, and intelligent addition prefixes, suffixes, it's no wonder that it translates so much better than the CAT systems. You'll often notice things in the dictionary that translate perfectly. Here's an example. The left column shows that what was written in steno. The right column shows the dictionary entry, if any. About half the strokes, the ones in red, are undefined, but a few good suffixes in the dictionary make a difference. So what they do is they try to break it down. So like you're saying, reconnected. I reconnected with an old friend or whatever, okay? Now you're gonna have three, if they're not in your dictionary already, let's just say you're a brand new student. You're gonna have three dictionary entries right there. Does it make sense to you? Connect can stand on its own, and then ED. And let me tell you why. Because when you put it together, reconnected as a word, now you have to do it all the time. And you shouldn't have to. Stands on its own because it's a prefix. Connect can stand on its own because it's a word. You can connect things. And ED can stand on its own because it's a suffix. So you're gonna have three separate different dictionary entries that's gonna put the word together anyway, okay? Because of the carets, if you put the carets in the right place, it's gonna know to put it together, okay? And it's a lot better to do it this way, trust me, okay? Because you're gonna have words that can stand on their own that aren't gonna be in your dictionary because you put it in as one word. So let's say you don't have connect in your dictionary, you still don't have it in your dictionary because you put it as reconnected. So now connect still isn't in your dictionary. Whereas you're gaining that much more. Now it doesn't really matter. You can put disconnected. And as long as you have dis, the prefix, and ed as the suffix, you already have connect in there. It's going to put it together. You see why I'm saying that? Does it make sense? Okay. And that's what they're showing you right here. So it's the historyographer. So history can stand on its own. Can stand on its own. And then ographer is always going to be, usually always going to be a suffix. Okay? Be careful how you define this. Because you can do RE, the prefix, or RI, which is RY, the suffix. Got it? Be careful how you define that because it's going to it's going to dictate how it goes in how it affects that word. Okay? So like I was telling you guys last week too, you have things where you drag. You're going to drag a word ending and the next word. Okay, and sometimes it's going to drag. Sometimes you write like that. Maybe you write like that. Maybe you hear it that way. And you're saving yourself a stroke by putting the ending and the next word together. But you don't want to do, I guess you can't anyway. You can't really do GT as the word ending. I guess you could if you understand what you're doing. And you're using the G and the T on your final hand for an ending and the next word. If you do, be careful. Just make sure that you define it correctly. Okay?
So writing what, like brought?
Like writing,
Like writing the.
bringing the.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you write bring GT as the suffix ing and then the. I wouldn't suggest you do it that way. Just do the TG, initial T, because it's always the, right, for y'all?
Yeah.
Some people, I mean, I don't know which theory you learned, and like Mark Kissingberry uses all kinds of stuff. Initial, final, for initial, and trust me, I don't even understand it, you know? But I didn't take it. I didn't take the theory. So I don't understand it because I didn't take it. And he is totally different.
Does that guy have a book on briefing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I think I heard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's crazy. And I'll tell you some of the ones that he has or whatever that, but anyway. So be careful how you do that, all right? So you can do the little your turn thing. We're not gonna bother with that, but do that little exercise when you have time. Go back and do it tonight, tomorrow, whatever, and how you would define it. Okay? I guess it's already defined for you. I may have already done it or whatever. I don't even know. Because it shouldn't look like that. It should just be re in the steno where it puts
I
it
think-
together. But that's a correct way of doing it. So one of the perfect examples that I was just telling you about is right here. Pre-pond ants. Holy cow if you read it like that. But if you do, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different things that can stand on their own. Okay? You see that? So you don't want to define it. You don't want to do a, what was it, shift 9 for 4 strokes or whatever, or control G 4 times and define the whole word when you have words that can stand on their own. Y'all see what I'm saying? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you have that right
So here's one right here.
there. Under.
Under. So it's under with the asterisk. Now, I don't know how you write under, understand. You don't want to do these the same way, okay? But that's under. So how do you global it?
G.
G? So would it be any of these?
No.
No. Okay, what would it be? Michelle, what would we do?
You would enter it correctly. You enter it in,
In brackets.
You know what? I like that. You're gonna enter it correctly, that's what you're gonna do. Really?
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna show you an easy way. But Excellent answer.
Why are you only picking on me?
Don't ever say that answer again, but excellent answer. Look, you can come right here to special entries right here. Pay attention. It's a prefix. I mean, it's a
Prefix, yeah.
yeah, it's a prefix. I'm sorry. It's a prefix, okay? Look what's going to happen. Drop the special entry. Do P, prefix. Enter. It already knows. So all you have to do is press 1 or not. What the heck? Right there. It already knows. The caret puts it together. So it's like the little,
Glue.
like a tweezer.
Ah.
Is kind of like how I don't know, whatever. I've been drinking. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
I didn't hear that.
But it just kind of puts it together, okay? So that's how I found it easier to remember, okay? That it just puts it together with the caret. So it's going to put it together right there. Now, if it has it over here, you have to know that the word after it is going to put it together with the word that you're putting in there. So you already know that it's a prefix. You don't even have to worry about it. You don't even have to worry about where it goes. Put the word in there and it's ready to go. It already knows. Remember? Hit enter. How? See what it did? So now you wanted to put underestimated, but you forgot to put the D in there. But it's underestimated. How do we do it?
Global.
Huh?
Global.
No.
No.
There's an easier way.
Here.
How do we do it? Huh? What's prefixes and suffixes in hyperkeys? I'm glad y'all wrote that down. 'Cause I told you it was going to be real important. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
What is it?
W.
Huh?
Where did I-
What did you say? I think you said it right.
W.
W. W. So it brings it up. You want the ED. Remember, it's the letter that really coincides closest with it. Put the D. Look what it's going to do. It was underestimate. How?
Underestimated.
And you can even change it from there. Go back to the word. What was your name again?
Me?
Yeah.
Debbie.
Debbie. How would we do it to change it to underestimating?
Underestimate?
Underestimating.
Go underestimating. I guess just the way you did right there is go to the W and then pick the next.
W?
Uh-huh.
And pick what?
The-
G?
Yeah. Diane G, yeah.
So you don't even have to change it. You don't have to delete the ED from it. You don't have to delete anything. Okay? And let's just say you want to do underestimatings. I think it's a word. How do we do it, Debbie?
A W, yeah, and go to the end, go to the S.
The S.
Oh, I think I changed it. Hang on. You know what? It may not do it because I don't think it's a word.
I don't think it's a word.
Underestimatings.
Underestimating.
But if you want to do the INGS, that's all you do. W, G, W, S, puts it on. Okay? Just that easy. Very good.
Occasionally, you'll need to add a prefix or suffix while editing. You can click on a toolbar icon or open the Edit menu to insert a prefix or suffix, or press hyperkey W. At this dialog, G is a shortcut. And this time I'll use the shortcut D. And of course, these suffixes were added with the proper spelling adjustments. Much more could be said about prefixes and suffixes, but this is the subject of a separate in-depth ePower video tutorial which shows you step by step how to take advantage of the prefixes and suffixes kit.
Got it? Pretty easy. Just what I showed you guys.
Let's see some of the ways that AutoMagic helps you prevent spelling errors as you work. Word reversals are just one of the small problems that AutoMagic understands. This question should have been, is she still working there? Pressing 5 is a fast way to reverse these words. This should have been working, but I need a different suffix. Pressing 2.
Y'all saw what they did, right? What's the reverse?
Toggle.
Shift R.
Shift R.
Okay? Very good, Debbie.
2 here be a fast way to pick suffix ing. Here's another suffix problem. This should have been on the form. Yes. Pressing 3 makes that correction. And now AutoMagic sees that I may need a comma in front of yes. Pressing a comma would quickly insert the comma in the proper spot. Compound words are another problem. Sometimes it may be that 2 words need to be joined as one.
Y'all see what it's doing right there? So like on compound words, if they put it together, and it's like, oh, it doesn't need to be. You don't have to come over here, control, arrow, over, 3, here. Seriously? Come over here, and usually it's always gonna give you, as long as it can stand on its own, the 2 words can stand on their own, it'll give you that option, okay? And do you see how she wasn't terrific out in the field. She was just out standing in the field.
Oh,
She wasn't
yeah.
outstanding.
Yeah.
You see? And how it changes the sentence completely. Be careful, you know, when you're doing your proofreading on stuff like this, okay?
Let's eat grandma. Let's eat grandma.
Huh?
Commas save lives.
Do what?
I said, let's eat grandma. Let's eat, comma, grandma, commas save lives. It's not on the board. I'm just saying it.
Somebody else is drinking. Let's eat grandma. Guys, and that's how, you know, like people will tell me, and I'm kind of getting off the subject a little bit, but how important punctuation is. Okay? You can take one sentence and punctuate it 3 different ways, and it can have 3 totally different meanings. Okay? So when you're proofreading your stuff, be careful about punctuation. Okay? And words that go together, don't go together. Okay?
Or
Compound.
that one word needs to be split into 2. Pressing choice 1 here corrects this unintended compound. This should have been she was outstanding in the field. A typing error occurred, and the faint underlining in red is calling that to your attention as you type. The correction is also being offered on the AutoMagic list. Just press 9. Oh.
So I don't know if you've seen it or not, whenever you're writing and something comes up, and I don't know if you can really see it or not. They had already fixed it. Let me back up a little bit.
Correction.
But see right here, it's got that little red line under it. You may not be able to see it, but it does. That means that that word is not spelled correctly. Maybe they said that. Guys, trust me, if you do this long enough, you're gonna hear some crazy stuff when you get out of people that don't use correct English, okay? And you just write what they say, okay? It's not your job to really clean up their English, but be careful with that too. So much like the rules of English, nothing's ever a definite, you know. And I'm going to give you an example. And it was an attorney that kept saying, I want to ask you a question. It's not AXE, okay? You know what it is, but they just say it a little differently. And you're gonna get people that come in with strong accents. And I'll tell you another little story of a deposition I was taking of an Indian doctor. And was sitting there taking, you know, the deposition, whatever. And he's reading from this document, and he kept saying the kiritis of this certain procedure. So like I'm taking it down, it's like, I write down what he said, and then I look at the attorney. The attorney's looking at me like, you got that, right? And it's like, yeah, because I have some magic ear that I can hear and understand everything. So he keeps saying it and saying it. Well, it's a videotape deposition. I knew that he was reading from a document, and you know, I was new, so I was a little bit scared about asking him to stop or whatever. And he's reading from this document, so I really didn't want to stop him from reading, but you know, really, if you don't understand, you should stop him. So we took a break, and I asked the doctor, I said, look, you said something about a quiritis. He's like, what? You know, the quiritis of this. And the attorney standing right there, he goes, yeah, I wanted to know what you were talking about too. And he goes, I don't know. So he pulls out the document, he starts reading, and he goes, oh, well, let me see the document. So I look at the document, and it was circumstances. No, I'm sorry, characteristics. The characteristics of this certain procedure led to this. I said, oh, it was characteristic. He said, yeah, that's what I said, the quiritis.
Okay.
Like, duh. You know, that's what I said. Well, I was pretty sure that's what I heard. No. But that's what it was, okay? So, if you're unsure and it doesn't make sense, you have full reign anywhere, in the deposition, in the courtroom, whatever.
Did you
So
write
you're
it down on your
responsible
arm
for
when
that.
you heard?
Huh?
Did you write it on your arm so you wouldn't forget when you had to go home?
But, you know, because at any moment, you know, and sometimes attorneys can be stinkers, you know, and just for the fun of it, say, you know what, read that back. I didn't hear what he said. Can you read that back? Really? And now you're reading quiritis, and the doctor's like, I didn't say that. Really? That's what I heard. He heard it. Videographer heard it. So just be careful, okay?
Is also being offered on the AutoMagic list. Just press 9. AutoMagic also integrates type over tracking. My Steno for Technological and my Steno for Tool are very close to one another, so I tend to replace one of these words with the other. Eclipse tracks that type over, and AutoMagic offers it as a choice. If I press 7, that makes the correction. And here again, AutoMagic is watching for punctuation that might need to be inserted. One last correction here. Let's assume that this is not misspelled, but the reporter didn't have an alphabet that included hyphens. Pressing 3 would stitch with hyphens. Pressing 4 would actually correct the spelling. If I just go back...
You see what they did right there? One, I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm going to back it up a little bit.
Alphabet that include...
Okay, so say this person is from Texas and went to Lafayette, Louisiana. Okay? And he said, spell that town's name again. Lafayette. Well, that's not the way it's spelled. But you know what? That's the way he spelled it. So that's the way you spell it. Now it's underlined right here because it's telling you it's not spelled correctly. And it needs to be stitched. That's called stitching. So when they spell it out, that's what you use to show that they're spelling it out, is you stitch it. Okay? You remember how to stitch it? Anyone? You get to leave early if you remember. Wow, those. Y'all are staying.
Not
Almighty.
cool. You know
Remember
you
when you global it or whatever and you push the lock? The lock puts a squiggly line to keep it together. If it's Jack in the Box, pushing it one more time stitches it. But also what you can do is you can push F7, which marks it, or how do you mark it? M. Thank you. And it, huh?
She just
Go sit outside. Great guess, though. Great guess.
Okay, but if they spelled it wrong and it's not gonna be in your dictionaries, it's still gonna, is it just gonna give you an option to stitch it?
Yeah.
It is?
It gave it to you right here.
Okay.
Or it gives you did you mean that? Which is the correct way of spelling it. So once you pick 4, it's going to put it down here in all caps, and now it's going to give you this spelled correctly.
Can you get in trouble for fixing someone's spelling when they spelled something?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah?
Because one, I mean,
They're like, we
I
wanted
don't
him to
know.
look like
I
an
mean,
idiot.
Well, I mean, if it's something that's really, that the guy's trying to get it to trick
Yeah.
him on,
Yeah.
and you spell it correctly and they didn't spell it that way, guys, that's not your job, is to clean them up. Your job is to take down what they say.
Right.
That's it. Okay? Not to clean them up. And especially if it's on a videotape deposition, I didn't clean them up. He said Lafayettete. Really? Let's look at the video.
Oh, that sounded like a
He spelled it
stammer.
like that. You know, I'd be careful. Okay?
You guys gonna listen back to the deposition
Yeah.
on recording? Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're called wave files. And what it is, and I'll bring my machine one day, but it has a little microphone that attaches right into the machine. And it's an external mic amplifier. And it stands on this little stand. They're super expensive, but I mean, it catches, they're good, okay? And then what it does is while you're writing, it creates a wave file right there. So let's just say, and we're kind of getting off base, but let's just say we're on page 1 of, or page 4 of 24, okay? And like in the old days, I had to record on a cassette tape. Y'all know what that is? You probably know what it is. Y'all probably don't. Y'all know what cassette tapes are? Anyway,
Yes.
yeah. So on cassette tapes. So it's like you had to fast forward, rewind to try to find the exact spot to start right here. This is how far technology has come. You put your cursor right here, you push Alt-J, which is play, in hyperkeys, and it plays right there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's awesome now.
That's good.
So you can start wherever you want. You want to start on page 99? You know, when sometimes they say, you know, hey, Dave, I'm going to need that hearing from 1/6/17, and it was like the 6th hearing that day.
But for that feature, you need that expensive microphone you were talking about that you connect to your system.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like solely with that.
No, it's not
Knick-knack?
solely with that, and I think one of the other, and I'm going to have another court reporter come talk to you all about, you know, taking stuff and whatever, working with the software. But I think there's a way of doing it. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know because I've never used it. I know that it works because it works on my machine, and it works from right there.
That's cool.
So I think really it only works on the machine. The other way, you're gonna have to fast forward, you know, with the little external recorder. Those little skinny external recorders, there's expensive too. You know, the first recorder I had, I think, was about like this size. It was ridiculous, huge, you know, and now, I mean, they're about this size. They're about half the size, and they hold ungodly amounts of stuff, you know. So that's what it is. So, like, if you need to stitch it, usually it's always going to give it to you because you've already done it. You've done the letters with the period, so it's going to put it all in caps, usually puts it together, but it always gives you the option of, do you want to stitch it because they spelled it out, okay?
Did hyphens. Pressing 3 would stitch with hyphens. Pressing 4 would actually correct the spelling. If I just go back, pressing 3 would now stitch this spelling. These are just some of the ways that AutoMagic takes advantage of the spelling checker and type over tracking features built into Eclipse.
Got it? Any questions about that? Any questions about that?
No.
Guys, prefixes and suffixes, pretty easy. Not that tough. Super important. Super important. Okay? How do you use them? How do you bring them up?
W.
The W.
W. W in hyperkeys is going to bring them up. Okay? Mess with that this week. Okay? And just go into an old document that and just start using it. And see what it does, and adding the ing, like on will, put willing, and then willings. Is that a word? Well, where you can use billings.
Shillings.
Shillings?
That's a type of money.
Shillings?
Shillings. It's an old type of
Oh.
money.
Well, I mean, where you can put the ing with the s, put it on there. Okay? Any questions about that?
Nope.
No? All right. Now we're going to go to speakers. Guys, this is very important stuff right here too.
Like the Cowboys game.
Like the Cowboys game. Okay?
Let's see how Eclipse makes it easy to keep track of speakers. In this example, I wrote the word objection, but I didn't have time to identify the speaker. To insert the speaker paragraph, I could either use the speed key, F2, or I could open the Format menu and select Speaker. If the speaker's name is already on...
We've already gone over this too. Okay? So if you're in there, press F2. Remember? And it brings this up right here, a speaker list. Remember? Okay, we've gone over this before.
the list, I can select it by either using the mouse to point and click, or by pressing the number next to the name. However, when I enter this dialog, Eclipse is ready for me to start typing to add a new name to the list.
So if it's somebody else, don't worry about it. You can create that speaker by just coming up here and typing the name in. Okay? Let's just say you were in a deposition and Miss Sutherland walked in and she's been sitting there for a couple of minutes and all of a sudden, objection. I didn't even have a speaker ready for her or whatever, and I just wrote objection, just like they had here earlier, okay? Just start writing. No big deal. Once you go back and listen to it, you'll know. Oh, that was Miss Sutherland or whatever. So I hadn't put her in the beginning of the deposition, which you should have gone in and already kind of created who's going to be there, what their names are, and created a list already, a speaker list already. So this way it's already coming up. Do y'all understand what I'm telling you? Mm-hmm. Is this making sense? If it doesn't, tell me.
Can we put them in like court, state, defense, and then go back later and just change the names in?
You can. Well, I mean, that's how you're going to do it in court. Okay? If you're in a deposition, it's going to be easier to do it this way. So if you don't, and you get there late, and you whatever, and you don't have time to do it, don't freak out, whatever. Okay? All it's going to come up as is attorney 1, attorney 2. Because once we start setting up your speakers, that's the way it's going to come up. And until you define them for that certain deposition or whatever, then it's only going to come up attorney 1, attorney 2. Okay? But that's how you add a speaker. So how do you get it to your speaker list?
F2.
F2.
I could then close the dialog by either pressing the Enter key or clicking on the OK button. The name gets added to the speaker list and to my document.
When you're adding a speaker, be careful with that little thing that I just showed you. I'm going to rewind it a little bit.
Gets added.
Because like when you come in here and it's like, oh, Miss Sutherland just walked in, so I'm going to add her name. You come up here, add the name, press OK. It's still up here, so now it puts it in your transcript as the next speaker that came in, because that's what it thinks you need, okay? So when you just want to insert it in here. But if you push OK and it's still in here, it's going to put it in there. Got it? And I'm going to show you if you mess up. Yeah.
I'm a little confused. So you're saying put all the names in the list before the deposition, but while you're typing, you're not actually like.
You should be. You should be typing. So let's say all of the attorneys are there. Okay, and it's like, and I kind of made it, you know, a little bit easy. And it's like, you know, I don't know this guy. I've done some depositions with her. I kind of know who she is. I don't even know who you are. You know, whatever. I've never met you before. You're a new attorney. Okay. Let's just say there's 4 attorneys in this deposition. Okay, guys. You know, this is where I'm going to sit. Do me a favor. Can everybody give me a business card, please? Okay. Get a business card, and put them in the place where they are. Okay. And then this way, you already know she's given the deposition. So she's going to be attorney 1. Hit attorney 1. It comes up on your computer. Go in there. How do you define it? Huh?
Not FC, I don't know.
This one's a little bit different because it's going to come up in the speaker already. Okay? So really what you need to do is move your mouse, put the arrow on there. I thought I had talked about this already. Put the arrow in there, left click on it, and it's going to light it up. Now you go into F2. Bring on your speaker list, you know, whatever. Actually, I'm sorry. What you need to do is put your arrow on the attorney 1, global it, which is G. Now it's going to bring up, what do you want it defined as? Bring up your speaker list. It's not in there. It's as attorney 1. Well, you know what? As attorney 1, I want Mrs. Robertson. Mrs. Robertson puts it in there. What do you want to do with it? You want to put it in your main?
Job.
No. How do you put it in your job? Control J for job dictionary. Okay? You don't want it in your main. Okay? And we're going to go through this more. I mean, this isn't the last time. This is just kind of a simple way, but I just kind of went through and told you how to define your speaker.
To the speaker list and to my document. As of Eclipse version 4.3, the speaker list offers the option to let you display a seating chart, but this is the topic of a separate visualizer presentation.
Any questions about that? Debbie?
I understand what you're saying.
I see the smoke coming out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're going to define it. You put them in there. You should do it before. If you don't, well, then you have to put a mechanism in place so that you can know who's who, right?
Yeah.
So when you're actually taking the deposition, whatever you coded it as, that's what you're going to hit to put that number, populate that name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So like this is speaker 1. I'm going to hit speaker 1, arrow over, highlight it, global it, pull up my speaker list, Miss Sutherland, enter, put it in a job dictionary, which is what? Control J, enter. Go to the next one, 2. Ms. Garcia, whatever. It's that? No, I was just kidding.
That was my maiden name.
Is it really?
Oh,
Oh shoot. No, I was just saying. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, I mean, you just arrow over, left click, highlights it, global it, open your speaker list, Miss Garcia, enter, ask you if you want to put it in your main. No. Control J, 3, 4. So I do it right away in the deposition, so then this way, you know, say, okay, let's go on the record. And she goes, okay, let's go on the record. Boom. Attorney 1, Miss Sutherland. Okay, let's go on the record. And now it's starting to come up. And you're going to see it. It's pretty cool. I mean, once we start bringing our machines and start messing with it, it's pretty cool. Okay? Any questions?
Let's see how
Good.
braces are used for special text within dictionary entries. Eclipse dictionary entries use braces to surround text that must not be inserted literally. This includes paragraph symbols, punctuation marks, prefixes, suffixes, and other entries that you don't necessarily make every day. The globaling and dictionary entries dialogues offer help for creating special entries. You can either press Ctrl-E or drop down the list. Where entries require you to type, as in the case of a suffix, your cursor is automatically positioned at the spot where you need to type text. While globaling, you can use shortcuts to insert symbols for paragraphs or punctuation. Thus, F2 opens the speaker list so you can choose a name that's already there, or insert a new one. F3 inserts the symbol for a question, and F4 an answer. To insert the symbol for a comma, press Control comma. Likewise, Control period. For a quick question mark, press Control slash. There's also Control semicolon and Control colon, which would involve the Shift key. Control tilde inserts the symbol for a lock space. However, if you have an entire phrase whose words you want to keep together, you can use the lock button. Press the lock button again, and you'll get hyphens. Press it a third time to get back to regular spaces. It's a bunch of shortcuts, but it can really save you time.
Got it? Any questions about that? No?
No.
So this is what I was talking about. So I'm gonna mess around with this right here. So what I was just talking about, pay attention. Give me your eyes up here. Let's just say you're starting. You've already asked everyone for their cards. You got it down. You know it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it easy. Don't go 1, 2, 3, 4. Seriously? Keep it easy. Okay? Where you know it's gonna go in line and you're not gonna get mixed up, because once it starts going and where did you, I object. Well, you can't object to that. Yes, I can. No, you can. You know, under the rules, I can. Well, yeah, you can. And then boom, 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 and you're all over the place, and it's like, man, there was 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3. Really? Make it easy on yourself, because it's gonna get chaotic as it is. Okay? Make it easy on yourself. So you're getting ready to start the deposition. You got them all set up. Everyone's in their seats, whatever. And it's like, okay, I already know Mrs. Sutherland is right here. So I hit the symbol for attorney 1. Pay attention. This is exactly what I was talking about. So you come over here. See how it highlights it? Got it? G for global. Opens it up right here. And let's just say it's Mrs. Robertson. Not Sutherland. Okay, we're just gonna make it easy. But you know what? I'm not gonna make it easy. Never mind. So what you can do is, it's asking you, let's just say you use Bob for Mr. Robertson. Okay? No big deal. Come to special entries, drop down, S, speaker. Got it? Enter puts it right there. This is the prompt to put a speaker in. Bracket, large S for speaker, colon, ready to go. So it's all caps, Ms. Sutherland. Got it? So far? Do I want it in my main? Absolutely not. Control J, pow. See how it did it? That was a question. See how it did it?
Oh, yeah.
Work with me here, okay?
I'm trying to understand.
It wasn't rhetorical.
So, how did you get speaker one to appear?
What's that?
How did you get attorney one? How did you get that to appear in the first place?
You're gonna put it on your machine. You're gonna be hooked up to real time. So you're gonna do the attorney one symbol, which we haven't gone through symbols yet, and we'll get to that, okay? But you're gonna put the symbol. That's the symbol for it, okay? So let's just say, let's see if they have something else.
Well, then what if somebody types Bob Bob? Or what if you type that?
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get out of this, go into help, install lesson.
It's like I have it,
You have it, Bob Bob?
yeah, on
Yeah.
Bob Bob, I object the white, and black.
All right. And that's what happened is I had already done it. I've already done this lesson and I just didn't read it back in. So it should be here. Okay, so right here. You have Mr. Robertson, you're Mr. Robertson, okay? You just walked in, I don't have another symbol for you, so I just put Bob Bob. Red, red, black, black. So to me, I have 4 symbols for attorney 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, if there's more attorneys, I don't have symbols for attorney 5, attorney 6, attorney 7, attorney 8. And it happens. The first court case I took, there was 16 attorneys. No, there was 18 attorneys in the room on a multi-million-dollar oil case that I had no idea about. 18 attorneys from New York, Connecticut,
Oh my goodness.
they were from all over the place, Florida, nerve-wracking. So what we teach you in school, what I learned, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, well, she just walked in. What's the first thing I look at her that I can remember that when she talks, I look at her? Glass, or hair, or blue. The first thing that pops out to me, say she's got a smoking red top and it's just real red, anything, pink. Don't make it harder than it needs to be where you're, it's green, so you have to use all these letters, green, keep it simple. Keep it simple to something, hair, big, if he's tall. I even use like bald, glass, brown, pink, blue, white, whatever, okay? But the first thing that you're gonna remember when they start talking and it's like, oh yeah, it's hair, or glass for her glasses. Just something simple, okay? And that's why they put Bob for Mr. Robertson, okay? So say you're right here. He just walked in, now you have to define it. How are you gonna do it, Josh?
G.
G.
And then there was a special entry speaker.
Are you sure?
Oh no, you have to do the attorney button first.
No.
You have to do another G.
Oh no, Control G.
Control G. So you have to get both of the Bobs in there because Bob is going to be your speaker. Because say his name is Bob Robertson. And they say, hey Bob, where's those sheets? And you put Bob as the speaker. Now every time they say Bob, it's coming up as a speaker, not as his name. So be careful with that. When you use something for a speaker, use it twice. Is what I always do. So red, hair, green, bald, whatever. Okay? Always use it twice. And remember to define both of them. Because if you just define the one, now every time you write Bob, there's going to be 2 speakers of Mr. Robertson because you did it wrong. Okay? So walk me through it.
So we go to special entries. And then speaker
S,
as
S, 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 S. There?
Yes, press enter, and then type in all caps whatever you want it to be. And then Control J.
Because
This is the job dictionary.
there's a job dictionary. How? So now you come over here, and let's just say you want to go into the thing because now you're down here, Miss Anderson, and you need to change it to Mr. Robinson because I messed up on the speaker identification, so I need to change it. How do I do it? How do I do it?
Speakers is, forgot. F2?
F2. F2. So because you defined it, Josh, because you defined it, now Mr. Robertson is already in your speaker list. So you don't have to put it in there again. It's already there. So what would I do?
Click the number that changed to Mr. Robertson, which is 5, I think. Unless it's, no, yeah.
If you
choose
tell
4.
me
It's 5.
select the correct one, that only works one per class, Michelle. One time. All right? And you already used yours up.
It's 5.
So you hit 5, and look what it does. Already does it. So now, pay attention. So now, I have to get rid of this line. How do I get rid of that line?
Control Y.
You may get to leave early. That's
You've
impressive.
been saying that.
Look what Control Y did. Did you just see that?
Yeah, saw it.
It takes that whole line out.
Super cool.
Guys, remember that one. Control Y is good. It really is good. Okay? And that's how you do it. All right? Okay, so you're gonna walk me through this one. It's Smith Smith. And the lady and the man's name is Smitherman. But I put Smith Smith. Let's just say I put, yeah, Smith Smith.
G. Is it Control G?
Control G.
Yeah. It's none of those, so I forgot that part. It's not under special entries, is it?
It is.
It is? Okay.
But I'm going to show you a different way to do it too. Okay?
If you
So
don't-
say you don't want to go through the special entries. Okay? Now all you have to do is do F2. Brings it up right here. Brings up your speaker list. Well, it's Mr. Smitherman. Spell correct? Yeah. Press enter. Look what it does.
It already puts it in there?
Because you just came out of the speaker list, so it knows that it's a speaker. The going to the special entries is when you don't know. Now you already know. This is a shortcut of doing it, but if you ever forget, all you have to do is come to the special entries, go to the speaker, it sets it up for you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay? Now I'm going to escape out of that. Run me through it again.
G. Are we doing it the other way or the way you just did it?
Yeah.
Or, okay. G. Control G. F2. Type in the name.
We're going to put in a different name because Mr. Smitherman is already there. It's Mr.
Shashevsky.
Oh, you're staying late.
I'm not
Why?
gonna spell that.
I don't even know. K-R-C-Y.
What is that?
S-K-I.
Is that really how you spell how he spells it?
It's something like that.
It's
It
Russian?
doesn't even look like what it's spelled like, but let's just say that's it, Shashevsky. It's crazy like that, okay? All right?
Okay. And then Control J.
Huh?
You put it in your drop? Or no?
Control J. Doesn't do anything.
No? Just okay.
What's okay? Okay. Okay. It doesn't. So now what?
There, I don't know.
That ain't gonna fly.
I know.
Give me something.
Well, you gotta see it in the job. Go to the main, yeah, go in there. Is
Huh?
the job one in there? Job dictionary?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know, is it?
Let's find out. I can click on it from here though.
What is it?
Job.
Control J.
Okay. Control J.
That's all you need to do. You
Didn't
don't
I
have to
just
go
say
in there.
that?
Huh?
I could have sworn I said that.
I didn't hear that. Good job. Let's rewind the video.
Rewind it.
Rewind it.
I said Control
Rewind
J,
it.
and then you're like, no, and then I just said J.
Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, she did. I have it all right here.
I said Control J, and you said no, and then I said just J.
I didn't hear that. But whatever. Let's just say she did. She didn't.
I did.
All right. Whatever. All right. Michelle, walk me through this one. We're gonna go through Jones.
Okay, so G, then Control G, and then do you want to do it the first way or?
You tell me how to do it.
Okay, so then special entries. S for speaker.
S again.
The second S for paragraph, right? Is that it?
Is that it?
PG?
Is that it right there?
No, that says suffix.
All right.
I'm not blind.
Is that it? Well, tell me when we get
No,
to it.
it's the next one.
The next what?
The next S, speaker PGH.
No.
Well, I can't see.
It's speaker.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just speaker.
So then S for speaker,
All right.
and then you type in all caps,
What is it?
Mr. Jones. And then we will Control J.
That's it.
Cool.
That's it.
So now if somebody says Mr. Jones' name, you just write a different word for Jones.
You just write the symbol that you have for Mr. Jones, which was Jones.
But wouldn't that make another speaker?
No, it's going to put Mr. Jones. You've already defined it.
So like, you're Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying, I object.
Uh-huh.
And then I say, well, Mr. Jones, why are you objecting?
Mm-hmm.
So I can still put Jones, and it's gonna say my name, right? Attorney 1, Attorney 2, whatever. And then Jones is still gonna turn into Mr. Jones, or is it gonna put him in as a speaker?
But Jones is going to put it in as a speaker, but you're not saying,
I think that's
what are you objecting to,
right.
Mr. Jones?
That's what he's talking
That's what he's
about,
trying
yeah.
to explain
No,
though.
no.
So we'd have to put it
Jones
as
is going to put it as a speaker. That's why I told you hit it twice. But when he says, what are you objecting to, Mr. Jones? You're going to write Mr. Jones, and it's going to come out Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
But when you put Jones,
It
You're just
comes up
identifying
as a
him
speaker.
As a speaker.
Right.
so it's not the name of the guy anymore, it's a speaker. So that's just like bald, or red. Mr. Jones it's just easier because you know what? His name is Charlie Jones. Okay, well I know he's Charlie Jones. I've already used all 4 of my speakers, so I'm just gonna use Jones, or black, or tall, big, whatever. Okay, so it's no different than big, tall, but it's Jones. Did that answer it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I
You
just
still looked a little confused.
Well, no, I'm just like I've started practicing names.
Yeah.
And like doing that double when I'm not trying to make a speaker. So I need to change my name.
Yes. You just write what you hear. You didn't hear Mr. Jones. You just heard Mr. Jones.
It's just
Mr.
sometimes if
Jones.
it's like a long name, I'll be like, I'll just put Jan for like Jan.
Which is good, because what if his name was Mr. Jones-Zaluski? Trust me, you're not going to write Jones-Zaluski throughout this whole thing, and his name, he's the guy that you're taking the deposition of. Okay? So you're gonna write Jones Jones. Well, Mr. Jones just walked in. Oh man, what am I gonna do? Well, you're gonna look at the first thing that he's wearing. Black, black. Okay, black, black. You don't have to use Jones Jones. I do it. I do Del for Delgado, Gons for Gonzalez, Gars for Garza. You know, so it's stuff that I use, okay? But let's just say, let's just say you had Jones Zaluski, but there is no Mr. Jones in there. Now you can use the Jones Jones for Jones Zaluski. Okay? So let's just say you have it in your dictionary. You accidentally did it as Jones Jones, and now it comes up every time that you write Jones Jones, you have it defined as Mr. Jones. Okay? Well, I don't want it defined as Mr. Jones, so now I'm going to global it. All I want it as is Jones Zaluski or whatever. Okay? Do I want it in my main?
No.
No. Okay? You just do Control J right there. And now it puts it as Jones Zaluski. You see how it did it? You see how it did it and changed it?
Yeah.
So now Jones Jones isn't a speaker anymore. And you put it in a job dictionary, so next time you hit Jones Jones, it's going to come up as Jones Jones a speaker. Okay? Because you defined it that way in your main. Be careful what you put in your main. Okay? I wouldn't put it as my main as a speaker. Jones Jones. But you can, if you want to. You know that Mr. Jones Zaluski, he's one of your clients and you use him a lot. And then you don't want to use your attorney 1, attorney 2, 3, or 4 as him. You should. Then it's easier for you to remember Jones Jones. Then be careful. Because if you put it in your main, now it's going to come up as a speaker every time. But if it does come up as a speaker and you want to change it, that's how you do it. Go into it, just define it as what you want it, put it in a job dictionary, ready to go. Got it?
So in your
Ms.
job,
Garcia.
in your job dictionary, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you clean it out after different jobs? I mean,
It's just that job.
okay.
So it's not
Going to be.
it's not a jobs dictionary. It's just that one
Yeah,
job.
Okay.
But let's just say you're taking Mr. Jones Zaluski's depositions in his case because he's suing this big company. And everybody's talking about working with or working for Mr. Jones Zaluski. Okay? You're going to hear a lot of the same words, things, because it's the same deposition, it's the same lawsuit. So you've made this job dictionary, so that's when we went over dictionaries where you read in the dictionaries into this one, whatever it was called. You know, say it was the deposition of Patsy Jones. Well then, when you go in to read in your dictionary, it's always going to put your main dictionary in there, and then it asks you, are there any other dictionaries you want to put in there? Yeah, I want to put the dictionary of Patsy Jones because we took 6 hours of Patsy Jones testimony and all of these names came up, and I don't want to have to redo them again because it's in a job dictionary. Does that make sense? That's why. So each job dictionary is different. It's to that job only. But you can incorporate it into another job by putting that dictionary into it before you read it in. Got it? All right. Any questions?
Let's see some of the choices that AutoMagic offers at the start or end of a paragraph. Here my cursor's on the very beginning of this speaker paragraph. Pressing 2 would give this paragraph to the second speaker on the speaker list. Pressing 3 would open the speaker list so I could choose someone else. Other choices make it easy to join this paragraph to a preceding one, or to change it to any other kind of paragraph in the system. And the info bar is showing the keyboard shortcuts for these functions. This time my cursor is on the first word of the paragraph. At this spot, pressing 4 would change this to a byline using the speaker question format. Let's change this speaker paragraph to an answer.
See, and that's what I was talking to you guys about, a byline. By Mr. Smith, question, that's what it looks like. Okay? And every time, you know, okay, she is still working there? Objection. You know, we weren't going to talk about where she was working. Yeah, that's okay to ask that question. Okay, go ahead and answer the question. So now you have it as a witness, because the witness is going to answer. He hasn't asked another question. So now you have it in colloquy, the witness answers. Okay? Well, how long did you work? Now you have to write this again. So you have to write the symbol for the attorney 1 or whoever is asking the question, and then it puts the byline there. So every time there's a question where there's a hesitation or there was colloquy or whatever, you have to put that byline so that the people who are reading know who's asking the questions. Like if it's Mr. Smith and he asks question, they answer, he asks another question, answer, then it's okay. You don't have to put a byline after every question. But when they start on examination and there was an objection and you have no idea and it's just starting it off for the first time, or whether they're cutting back in and saying, objection, no, overruled, he can answer. What was the question? Ask the question again. Byline, question. She's still working there? Yeah, I'm still working there. Okay, well, how long has she been working there? Now it's question answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got that look. What's confusing? All of it? No, to Michelle.
Like the byline thing?
All it's going to do is tell you who's asking the questions. So you say, okay, let's begin the deposition. Okay, we're going to do it under the rules. Yes, we are, blah, blah, blah. All right. Y'all ready? Yeah, okay. Symbol, question, state your name, please. Ann Margaret. Where do you work? I work at Walgreens. How long have you worked there? 12 years. Did you shoot that guy? Oh, objection. Objection, you can't ask. That's not a proper question. Now it's in colloquy because they're talking to each other, but they're asking questions of each other, but it's of the attorneys. Yeah, I can ask that question. It's a deposition. Well, go ahead and answer that question. Witness. No, I didn't shoot him. Okay. Well, Mr. Smith is going to ask more questions. You hit Mr. Smith, and you don't even have to set it up. It's not a different symbol for the byline. All you do is hit attorney 1, question, and it sets it up as the byline. It already knows to do it. It already knows. And as we get further into it, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But what I was talking about was the byline, you know, so that you know what it looks like. That's what it is, by Mr. Smith. Yeah.
So why is it, so in this specific example, it looks like Mr. Smith is asking the questions, right?
Yeah.
So why is he butting in to his own question?
Because they messed up here and accidentally put it. So what it was, and that's what it's telling you right there, is that they messed up, but you need to answer. So all you need to do over here in the magic keys is just press number 7, or how else would you put an answer in there? Huh?
You could do an insert.
Well, if you're going through and editing, how would you do it? What's the answer symbol up here?
F4?
Yeah, you're correct.
it's F4.
F4?
Yeah.
It is F4. F4. F3 is what?
Question.
F4 is answer. Very good. Now we want to yell stuff out.
I'll press the 7 key. We saw one byline format, now let's see another. I'll press 1 to turn this into a byline in the question speaker format, and pressing 2 would indicate that Mr. Jones is asking the question. Two different byline formats, very easily inserted.
They don't really, I mean, and it's personal preference is what it is. To me, this looks better. I think it does, you know, or whatever. So some people put it like that, whatever, personal preference.
This time let's go to the end of a paragraph. That's where you'll often want to insert a block of text from a file. So the number one choice is to read in text from a block file. But maybe you want to change the sentence to end with a question mark or a dash. Automagic is offering these shortcuts, but it's also teaching the hyperkeys or speed keys. These are just some of the choices that Automagic offers, because Eclipse understands the kinds of editing that you might need to do at the start or end of a paragraph.
Got it?
Let's see how to change speakers within Total Eclipse. This answer needs to be changed to a speaker paragraph. Here's a keyboard method in case you'd rather not use the mouse. Simply place your cursor in this first line and press the home key twice. Then press F2 to see the speaker list. To select Ms. Sutherland, I can press the 4 key, which is the number.
Did you see what they just did there? So like how I was telling you to move the arrow over, left click, put you in there, lights it up. Home does it also. Okay? Home twice will put you in the next speaker list.
What's home?
Huh?
What
Like
is
the
home?
button?
The button. Home. 7
Oh.
on your numbers. On the right numbers. So it should be on your keyboard somewhere. Find home. You see it?
No.
Oh, it's over on the side. It's not on the number.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Okay.
not on your numbers? Okay. Well,
It's
just
on
wherever
the
it is.
side, my numbers are on top.
Okay. You don't have any numbers on the, okay, my computer has them on the side too. So just wherever it is, home is gonna put it in there, okay?
Next to her name, then press the Enter key. But there's also a mouse method. Simply click on the paragraph button and select Speaker. OK. Then use the mouse to point and click. OK.
Y'all know what they're talking about right there? So these little things, you can get in here too. So if you're in the exercise, click on it. Put your arrow right here and left click on that little arrow. I mean, on that little box. Go down till you find one. Go up
I was
until you find
already
one.
there. Right here. These?
Yeah. Left click. So see how it opens up a paragraph file?
Oh, right there, the S.
Yeah.
Right there, that
Yeah.
tiny little S.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, you need to know. Go into arrow. Get into the little box and then left click it.
On an S or in a.
It doesn't matter. Just the little box.
And then
Are
what?
you done?
Yeah,
Get in there.
right here?
Yeah, just click it once.
Okay, I think it was.
There it is.
Okay.
That. Yeah.
Whoa, what did I do? Forget it.
It's kind of easy.
Not the whole. You need the arrow over. And then it's- See how it opens up the paragraph? Got it? Where the number 2 is. Yeah. Use this.
Okay.
Go over here.
Oh, over here.
See how it opens that up? So it gives you different options of of things that you can do. Okay? Yes. Got it? So look in that box, and I'm gonna show the guys that are on video here in just a second when we finish this.
I want to be able to use a set of editing shortcuts that are built into the default Total Eclipse keyboard setup. In other words, I want to be able to press Control 1 from anywhere in this paragraph and have it change to Speaker 1. So I don't want to be confused by the order in which speakers' names happen to be listed.
Do I get that? Yeah?
So it doesn't matter where, if you press Control 1, it's gonna change your speaker?
Let's
Well,
see
you
how
have to be careful.
I want to be able to use this graph button and select Speaker. OK. Then use the mouse to point and click. OK. I want to be able to use a set of editing shortcuts.
So you can look at these and see which one it is. So now that you have them numbered, speaker 1, 2, 3, 4, now you have, so you have to be careful which speaker it is as to which one you use. And now when you do the control number of whichever speaker it is, now it'll come up as that speaker. Okay? Once you define it. Any questions about that?
It's very easy to change paragraph labels that contain a misspelled speaker's name. Just press F2 to open the speaker table. Then select the name you want to change. By the way, you can also open the change dialog by double-clicking on a speaker's name. Type the new name and press OK. Usually you'll make the change throughout all the documents. But let's say that you've used the same steno to identify.
You see what they're doing right there? So say you spelled it wrong, you spelled it incorrectly, and it was supposed to be tiramisu. Delicious. Mm-hmm. Okay? But let's just say, like in the beginning, I'm going to rewind it a little bit, that you spelled it incorrect.
Then select the name you want to change. By the way, you can also open the change dialog.
So you click on it, you go into your speaker list, which is
F2.
F2. Select the one that you need to change, push change.
By double-clicking on a speaker's name. Type the new name.
Brings it right here, so it brings up the speaker data. You can have a shortcut, which is 3. The current is tiramisu, and it's supposed to be tiramisu. So this is where you're going to change it in the current, okay? But it's currently that, so you see that it's wrong.
And press OK. Usually you'll...
So now you want to do it. Now if you're at the beginning of the document, then that's fine, just go forward. But if not, then do the all, and it's going to put it throughout the whole document, okay? Guys, be careful with this because it only changes the speaker. It doesn't change it every time they said, Mr. Tiramisu, did you mean to give me that document? Oh, yes, I did. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Tiramisu. But it was spelled wrong. So when it's in the body of the thing, it's not changing it here with this. All it's doing here is changing the speaker, okay? Be careful with that.
We'll make the change throughout all the documents. But let's say that you've used the same steno to identify an attorney throughout the day. But at lunch, he or she is replaced by a colleague. You could use the forward button to change the speaker's name only from lunch forward. The change is instant and even affects byline paragraphs that reference the speaker's name. Let's take a closer look at the dialog used to change a speaker name. It does much more. For instance, you could set up shortcuts way beyond 9. You could also select special colors to identify a speaker. And set up speaker groups. There are also buttons on the speaker list dialog.
Guys, you can do all this stuff, colors, whatever. I mean, if you want. It just, to me, it just makes it a little more confusing. Why you need to do colors, who knows, whatever, but it will. And it'll set up that color for that speaker in that color, okay?
That make it easy to reorganize the order in which the names appear.
You see what they're doing right there? So if you don't want it right there,
Dialog.
so say, you know, the witness is, or Mr. Johnson is number 1. Well, you know what? I want Mr. Izod number 1. All you do is click on Izod, move up, move it all the way up to number 1. So you can put them wherever you want to. Okay?
That make it easy to reorganize the order in which the names appear. Additional functions of the speaker list are described in the presentation on pre-translation speaker setup.
Got it? Guys, a lot of information in that speaker lesson, okay? And if you need to, go through and watch those lessons again, okay? Mess with this stuff. Mess with the prefixes, suffixes, mess with the speakers, okay? In you know, a job that you can just kind of mess with or whatever, okay? Any questions about what we went over tonight? We covered a lot of stuff, guys, okay? Important stuff. Use it. Got it? All right. See you on Wednesday.